time for movies on Rock and Gold Radio. It's Meet Me in the Foyer with Linda, Marric and Jawa.
Meet Me in the Foyer.
Hello and welcome back to the Foyer, and thank you for meeting me here again. This week we bring you a range of films to tantalise and tease you into parting with your pounds with three new films to discuss and a classic option for your delectation. And bringing you insights into those new films is our one and only resident reviewer, mistress of the movie universe, the adorer to my Keldor. It's the one and only Linda Marric. How are you doing, Linda?
I'm very well. How are you?
Not bad.
Good week so far?
Shattered. Seems to be riding home in different weather conditions every day this week. It's wind, it's rain, it's storms, it's sunshine occasionally, but I made it here, and we're gathered.
I was doing some interviews outside of the Barbican Centre for the South by Southwest Film Festival in London, and I literally turned up for a summer night evening and to be surprised with it, like minus degrees, and it's so windy outside the Barbican. Not very pleasant. But
it's impossible to predict what you're going to encounter when you step outside the house at the moment. So stay safe in the enclave, the foyer with us. Keep out of those terrible weather conditions and enjoy one of these films that we're going to offer up for you this week. And what are you going to offer up for us this week, Linda?
I shall be reviewing the latest it's a kind of like a reboot of the Scary Movie franchise, the famous sort of parody franchise. I will also be reviewing Masters of the Universe, and I will also be reviewing a movie called Virginia Woolf's Night and Day, adapted from a very well-known Virginia Woolf novel.
Excellent. Well, another broad and varied selection for us this week. And I'll be bringing you a classic movie review, of course, and movie news as well. And not forgetting, of course, our little aperitif, the box office top 10. So why don't we pick something off the plate and get noshing?
Meet Me in the Foyer.
So it's the box office top 10 as it stands as we record. And at number 10, it's Passenger. In its second week at the box office, it's made £749,000, and you can catch Linda's very positive review on our one of our previous shows.
That's respectable. I think that's a respectable amount taken. I mean, it's nothing unusual or special, but I think the scares really work here.
That's a horror film, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it's the first of three horror films on the top 10 this week, which I will refer back to in the news later on in the show. The number 9, a pretty poor opening, one has to say, for a film with the stars in it. It's Power Ballad. On its first week on release, it's made £203,000 at the UK box office.
I haven't seen it.
No, I was put off immediately by it. It's got a Jonas brother in it, hasn't it? And Paul Rudd. But yeah,
I've not seen it, and because I was busy doing other stuff, and I had interviews, I think, the same day. Yeah, I can't comment. I will try and catch it, but I doubt it's going to stay around.
No, I'm getting the feeling we might not see it again next week. So you might not have to bother, Linda. You might be able to avoid that one. But another film that's still in the box office top 10, as Linda predicted last week, yes, it's the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's been in the top 10 for 10 weeks. It's made 38 million, and there will be more, let's be honest.
And the animation available. And it was half term last week. No, I thought people would be put off because the weather was so nice, but then,
So it's one of the few places in this country you can find guaranteed air conditioning now, isn't it? So yeah. Above that, though, a more interesting film, apologies Mario, that Linda reviewed on last week's show. It's Tuna, that's on its first week on release and has made £361,000 at the UK box office.
Oh, brilliant. Everyone's absolutely raving about it, and I really, really like this. I thought it got a little bit silly towards the end, but it's very effective in what it does, and like you hardly ever see movies like that, and I'm actually quite impressed because the director knows more about documentary than about drama. So, is there anything he can't do? You know, he's very good, very good at what he does.
Above that, a film that divided us, but we remain united in the foyer. At number 6, it's The Sheep Detectives. It's been for 4 weeks. It's made 8.3 million. And again, you can catch Linda's review on one of our previous episodes.
I loved it. Love that movie. I think it's a whimsy too far for you, maybe, isn't it?
That's a nice phrase. Yes. If Linda loved it, you can tell which side of the fence I was on. The other side. I couldn't climb over that stile to join her in the sheep field. And above that, number 5, it's The Devil Wears Prada 2. It's been there for 5 weeks now. It's made a brilliant 32 million at the UK box office. And once again, because we cover them all if we can, you can catch Linda's review on a previous episode.
Fabulous.
And above that, a film again we've both seen. Not so divided on this one, although Linda did like it more than I. Number 4, it's Obsession. It's been out for 3 weeks and has made 6.8 million. And again, Linda,
I didn't love it as much as some have. Have to say, how much did it take?
6.8 million.
Yeah, it's a very small movie. Again, another movie by a YouTuber.
Yes.
I know that some people really have raved about it, and I really love that movie. Really, really love it. I just don't think it's as good as, because there's people comparing it with like Sinners and things like that, and I just don't think it's as good as that, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And it's been quite divisive on social media, but I'll come back to that, as I say, later on in the news. Above that, another divisive film, but not for audiences, just for critics, it seems. At number 3, it's Michael. That's on its 7th week on release. It's made a mind-blowing 48 million in the UK and 631 million pounds worldwide. And once again, of course, you can catch Linda's review on a previous episode. Slipping from the top of the charts, last week's number 1 is now at number 2. Made a fairly, well, is it disappointing? No, how can you call 11 million disappointing? It's Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu on its 2nd week on release. Yes, you know what I'm going to say. You can catch Linda's review on a previous episode.
Yeah, I know that everyone is just so excited to go onto the internet and say how it's not doing well in the box office. Like, gotta remember, this is like, as I keep saying, a lesser Star Wars movie. You know, it's not one of the big Star Wars movies, and it also comes from a series. And for a movie that comes from a series, and it's not lost any money, has it? I don't think it's lost any money. It's done it well enough, in my opinion, and it's not terrible. I think it's. I quite liked it. So, yeah.
Excellent. I was just wondering what Rogue One made, because it's not quite comparable, but I just lost it there. Rogue One grossed 66 million on its release, which is quite staggering. But then that came in a very different time. So, as I say, a bad comparison, really. Yeah. All of which means at number 1, it's Backrooms on its 1st week on release. That's the 3rd horror film in the top 10. It's made 4.2 million in its 1st week. And you know it. You can catch Linda's review on last week's show.
I found something in the store.
Okay. What did you find?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Keep up.
It only gets better.
You got the camera, right? Or you can borrow it again.
You still haven't told us what we're doing here, man.
I did tell you. Research.
What the fuck?
All these places and buildings, rooms, misremembering themselves. It's a real mess. But also beautiful, in a way. No?
Clark, where are we?
I mean, that That's insane. It's absolutely insane. That funnily enough, I was watching some TikToks, and apparently in America, because it's been talked about in the same way as Obsession, and Obsession became the success of the summer, or the success of spring over there, and loads of kids are going to see it and getting excited about it, and it's because it's also made by a YouTuber. I think loads of them are actually going thinking Backrooms is the same kind of horror as Obsession, and then realizing that nothing really happens during the movie. And there's so many of those, like someone had made a montage of all these kids going to see that film sucked. I mean, like nothing ever happened in that movie. It's just it's a very difficult thing to do, when you pit things against each other, or you talk about things in the same way, to try to differentiate that they might belong to the same genres, but they are completely different from each other. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that Backrooms is not a genre movie at all. You know, it's a very it's a really high, for me it's a better movie. You know, it's a better movie than Obsession, because it doesn't have like a linear or like a normal kind of arc, and it deals with really profound ideas. That's not to say that Obsession doesn't deal with those kind of same ideas or similar ideas, but I'm really sick of people comparing like apples and oranges. They are not the same thing, you know. Just because you get the whole sort of, what do you call it, the horror thing thrown in, doesn't mean that every horror has got to be the same. Anyway. No,
absolutely. I mean, there's just a broad spectrum within that genre, isn't it? And Backrooms, I mean, it's virtually an art house movie, isn't it? Yeah, it's. I kind of wish I was there now, seeing those sort of 15-year-olds coming out going, what? Brilliant. So that's the box office top 10 for this week. And perhaps, if I just go back a step, perhaps a fairer comparison for The Mandalorian and Grogu would have been Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, yeah.
Which took 20 million at the UK box office. So it's already over halfway there. So
well, I mean, The Mandalorian has taken $252 million globally. It was made for $165 million. So far, it's not doubled. But I think by the end, it will. I mean, it's made more than it was made for. That's a good start, and it will wash its face. And I think in the end, it will make enough.
And of course, it's going to go. It'll go onto Disney Plus, won't it? And it'll absolutely coin it in there. I'm certain.
Exactly. Like, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it. I
bet Pedro's not worried either. No.
Pedro doesn't care. Pedro is the coolest guy alive, you know.
He's just sat at home flicking cards into an upturned bounty hunter's helmet.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, so it feels like it's review time. And, well, do you like scary movies? Do you like funny movies? Well, you're out of luck, as next Linda brings us a review of the 6th installment in the Scary Movie franchise from the Wayan brothers, the first film since Scary Movie 2 to actually involve the brothers. So, Linda, take it away.
Sink into the chair. I'm high as fuck. Me too, cuz. Me 3, my nigga. Guess who's back?
Ghostface is still killing folks.
You know what they say about the crazy ones? They got the best.
Scary Movie. Only in theaters Friday. Get tickets now.
We're here to drink, play bad music, do some half gay shit.
Why just half gay? There's a serial killer on the loose.
There's only one person who knows how to stop him.
You came? Not in like 15 years, honey.
Oh my God, acting so scared. The gun ain't even loaded. Uh-oh, I did it again.
That was fun.
Scary Movie, coming soon.
Do you remember anything about the original Scary Movie? And have you to start with? Have you seen it? The original, like, couple of movies in the franchise.
Nope, I remember it coming out, and I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, no, thank you. So,
well, I kind of liked it. I think I felt about it that it was in the same kind of family in those as those sort of parody movies of the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
You know, that were like just completely full of gags, and I think it really worked. I think the first couple really worked because they felt fresh, and they were like dealing with sort of the start of like the mimification of cinema. You know, when people started like referencing other things in films and referencing other trends, you know, like the what up, you know, the famous beer commercial, you know, and it felt like it was a moment in time where we could all recognize what was being made reference to. And then the Wayan brothers went away, and they were replaced by. I mean, they started the franchise, and they were replaced by a number of other writers and directors. And actually, the franchise didn't really suffer that much from them not being in it. Here they're back, 20 some years after not being part of the franchise, and everyone felt like, oh, is this gonna actually revive it? You know, the like it gives it its heart back. You know, it's kind of like original way that it did things, because by the fifth movie, really, things were not looking good for this franchise. But yeah, I too was hoping that it might actually do something different, and you know, and it might be fun. I'm really sorry to report that this is, without a doubt, one of the worst films I have ever seen in my entire life. It felt so, directed by Michael Tiddes or Tiddes, written by Marlon Wayans, Sean Wayans, Keenan Ivory Wayans, Craig Wayans, and Rick Alvarez. And it kind of it's a film that sort of, you know, it's trying to do what the majority of you know, like, it's basically a Scream parody. Really, it's mostly a Scream parody because you get that ghost face killer, and the main characters all sort of resemble some of the characters in the Scream franchise, and it's meant to sort of reunite classic characters like Cindy, Brenda, and Ray, who were all, and Shorty, who were all in the first movie, and then you have the younger characters, exactly how Scream, you know, revived the franchise a few years ago by bringing in the old ones, the old characters, the legacy characters, as we're calling them now, apparently, the legacy characters, as well as the younger characters, and sort of making something out of it. I'm sorry to say that on paper, this sounds really like doable, and you know, because nostalgia is the thing nowadays, and people really want to hark back to the stuff that they used to like. In practice, this feels like a desperate attempt to cash in on everything to do with nostalgia. It's basically taking the goodwill of its fans who made this franchise what it is, and just throwing that goodwill in the bin. And it just feels bloated, terribly written. It doesn't actually have a story. So the story, well, I mean, the plot follows Cindy and her friends, as Anna Faris plays Cindy. Her friends are reuniting years after the original encounter with Ghostface. It's essentially they say they're basically the Ghostface is back, and you have all of the tropes from the Scream parody, the first Scream parody, and but throw in every single offensive joke you can think of: sexism, homophobia, transphobia, uh, uh, anything you can, as I say, anything you can think of. And then there's also just a bunch of gags just thrown at the wall to see what
Yeah.
sticks. And it's like gag after gag after gag. None of them so much as raised a single, like, smile on my behalf. I just sat there thinking, why is this so boring? Why is it so boring? Why am I not laughing? Why am I not even smiling? Why am I not even snickering? You know, the dialogue sounds like something crafted by AI, and and it's basically a series of kind of like internet meme references or TikTok meme references strung together with some of the absolute worst humor you can think of. The celebrity guys, there's a couple of cameos. I'm not going to give away the cameos because it's, I think it's not worth it's I don't like it when people do that anyway, so I'm not going to give away the cameos. There are a couple of cameos and you think, God, I really hope you're getting paid handsomely for this, because this, you do not come back from this. This is awful, 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 awful. How this whole group of people made this movie, and there are a ton of them. If you go and have a look at the sort of the cast and crew, there are so many people involved in making this. And this is going to do well. I expect it to do well because it's kind of like, the lowest common denominator. And if you can, uh, if you understand the reference of a meme, then you'll laugh. I personally have seen better parodies. I've seen films like very similar to this done really, really well. And I don't think this succeeds at all. So there's the jokes are crude, outrageous, but they are also sharply constructed comedies. It's like the issue is simple here. The film just isn't funny. It isn't clever. It isn't even memorable or memorably bad in a kind of so bad it's good, the fact that the Wayan family returned to the franchise after 70 years to give us this, I mean, they should have stayed away, really. Every person involved should genuinely be thoroughly ashamed of themselves that they spent all this time making this movie and this is what came up with. I have zero sympathy for anyone involved in this, and the people who signed on the dotted line, I really, as I say, hope they were paid really handsomely for it, because I'd be embarrassed to have my name on that cast list personally.
Fair enough. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure quite where you sit on this one, Linda. You need to get off the fence. No, I mean, to go back to your original question, I do remember that the original's coming out. I mean, I just had it there. When was this? This was 2000. So what's that? 4 years after the original Scream.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Scream was one of the great films. It just is one of the great films. But Scream is a satire, so it
Yeah.
satirizes what's gone before. And then you think, and then Scary Movie comes along. And you think you're sort of parodying and satirizing Scream. So what's the point of that? It's just
Yeah.
diminishing returns. And
But it somehow worked. It kind of worked, because I think the jokes were sharper.
I mean, it was certainly very popular and hugely successful. It didn't work for me because, I mean, these films have been around for ages, as you say. You had Airplane, Naked Gun, and I love those films. They're so sharp. The gags are they're very similar. They are silly and relentlessly gagging, but those films you don't see the gags coming, even though they seem obvious. They're not. But then later you've got stuff like Loaded Weapon and Hot Shots.
Yeah.
And my mates all loved those films, and I couldn't stand them at all because you could see the joke coming, and you thought, well, no, this is a professional comedy, so they're going to surprise me. And then they didn't. They just told the joke that you predicted was coming 5 minutes beforehand.
It's typical gross out comedy that
Yeah.
I really don't gel with at all. I prefer like clever comedy, but I'm not like averse to a little bit of silliness, and I really like absurdist comedy, and I think that's what I liked about The Naked Gun. It's really absurd in some places, and it's just done so lovingly that you can't help but it's like almost groaning at an old uncle making just like very obvious jokes, and I kind of don't mind that. I think that's really sweet. I can't do gross out at all.
No.
Like I really cannot do gross out, and this is full of that kind of thing. I just like,
It's weird. It's a genre that seems to be, I would say, it's the easiest one to make because the gags are so obvious. But then to make it well is extremely difficult. But unfortunately, you just get there've been so many. Like there was the Peter Falk film Cheap Detective, or Murder by Death, which both have moments of good humor, but again they kind of drag on a bit. The gag wears thin. And yeah, it's a strange genre because, as I say, it seems an easy one to do because the jokes just come to you, but you really need to sit down and do it like a second and third draft.
Well, I just think it's lazy. The problem with this movie is that the presence of things like YouTube and TikTok and social media jokes is that because they steal so much from that, it just feels lazy. It feels like we've seen these jokes done before. This is not an original gag.
Yeah.
And what we loved about those other parody movies or satires is that the jokes were original. It kind of subverted something that was more serious into something really silly and absurd. This doesn't do that. It just takes from I genuinely, not to accuse anyone, I'm almost convinced that there was AI used in writing some of these gags because it's just desperately awful, desperately just cringeworthy. It's like, what are you doing? Seriously.
Yeah. It's weird as well that sort of they trumpeted and heralded the return of the Wayans, and you think, but they've not made any good films anyway. I don't. They're not. It's not like, oh, Eddie Murphy's making a new film, or Steve Martin's making a new film. Although obviously Steve Martin, it's been a long time since he made a great film. But
come on, no, I will not have any Steve Martin slander.
I love Steve Martin.
Will not stand for it.
I've said many times. I think his last great film was. I always call it Boomerang.
LA Story? Oh, no.
That's what I used to say it was, but then he did that one with Eddie Murphy, and I always get its name wrong. So we're gonna have a quick Google, and I'll chop this bit out so it looks like I know what I'm talking about. What is it called? I always get its name wrong. No, films. There we go. Here we go. The film was called. Where is it? Where are you? Bowfinger. That's it.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Bowfinger, which is kind of a satire parody.
It is a satire. Definitely a satire.
Bowfinger's a great film, and that I say is Steve's last great film. But he's done Murders in the Building for years now, and that's a fabulous TV series. So
I really adore him. I don't care. He could not make another movie in his life. For me, the live stuff that he did at the end of the 70s and early 80s, and I used to watch that particular concert that he did, when he's dressed in the white suit. I think that is some of the best comedy, the best stand-up comedy I've ever seen in my life. It's just so clever, so on point, and the early films,
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, The Jerk.
I love him.
The Jerk is a really good example of a film that's very silly, very goofy, but so clever, so funny. I just need this chair and this lamp, and that's all I need. That's all I need. Yeah, amazing film.
I love that. Is that your dog?
Oh yeah.
Don't call him like it. Call him shithead.
I'm a shithead. Yeah, no.
And then he does call him shithead.
No, and of course there was that Steve Martin documentary last year, I think it was. That was fabulous.
Yeah, I love him. Love Steve. Honestly, like I genuinely, I think it became really fashionable in the 90s to say, "Oh, Steve Martin hasn't done anything funny for over a decade," and it's one of those things when one person says something and then everyone says it again.
It was that Dennis Pennis gag, wasn't it? When he interviewed him, and it was so heartbreaking to watch him shove the mic in his face and say, Steve,
oh,
why don't you make funny movies anymore? And you just see Steve sort of crushed. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't, and I say it from a position of love. I do love Steve Martin, but I think Bowfinger is probably the last great Steve Martin film. But
fair enough.
There are moments. Anyway, that's how bad Scary Movie is, people. We completely veered off onto a tangent.
Oh my God. I forgot where we were.
So maybe you'll go and see that at the box office, but we don't recommend it, and don't blame us if you don't enjoy yourself. Right, so that's Scary Movie, and thank you very much, Linda.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, so it's movie news time, and the movie news is full of news about, well, I call it news about Spider-Man, but it's all really just promotional fluff. So we're skipping on past that to this, because my spidey sense tends to go off whenever I hear the word passion project, especially in the world of animation. Ever since the John Lasseter passion project Planes came out, which was quite the tedious experience, I have to say. This time, though, it's a Brad Bird passion project called Ray Gun that'll be hitting Netflix later this year. The title character is a private detective called Ray Gun, voiced by Sam Rockwell. So it's Sam Rockwell and the man who brought us The Iron Giant, The Incredibles, and Ratatouille. I'm in.
You mean it's not about the Australian
the breakdancer?
I didn't
even think of that. That would be amazing. I want to see that movie. Let's get on to Brad Bird right now. Brilliant. Right, so yes, we brought you the bad news that Scary Movie is back, and I bring you more bad news now for anyone looking forward to the Escape from New York remake. And aside, why are you looking forward to that? The project is being helmed by, and written and directed by, Zack Snyder.
Why do they keep letting him direct?
That is the question, Linda. That is you've got to the nub there. Because, I mean, the last few he's actually paid for himself, but this one he's actually being hired to make. So, yes, the man who's already brought us such huge wastes of time as 300, Batman versus Superman, the Justice League, and Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2 is somehow still getting projects financed, whilst people like Terry Gilliam couldn't get a film financed to save his life.
It's ridiculous. I don't get it. Like, it must be a tax write-off.
He must be a really lovely guy for all of his bad films. He must be the nicest guy, because, you know, the only excuse I can think of for Gilliam not getting films financed is the fact that he's quite the awkward gentleman to work with. Although all the actors want to work with him. But yeah, Snyder still keeps getting work. So he's remaking John Carpenter's 1981 B-movie classic, which I highly recommend you go and see, and don't worry about this one. Of course, Snyder's got to complete his current film, which is the low-budget passion project. There's that word again. The Last Photograph. And but as soon as the release date is available for Escape from New York, the remake, I will share it so that you can avoid it at your local cinema.
He does have an army of sycophantic fans who
the Snyder bots will be delighted. Yeah. It's just bizarre.
They will go and see anything he does, not thinking it's all very profound and cool and everything. But you know,
it is profound, Linda. He uses slow motion.
Yeah,
that makes it profound. Yeah, I can't help think that his films could be like 20 minutes if he just chopped out all the slow mo bits and did them in real speed. But, Jesus. Although I'm seeing more and more people say that Watchmen is a masterpiece. They're sort of coming back.
Watchmen is good. Yeah.
I don't.
Not a masterpiece. It's good.
No.
It's better.
No, I mean it's got the worst sex scene in cinema history, as far as I'm concerned. Whereas two people make love in slow motion, of course, with lens flares, and Jeff Buckley's "Hallelujah" playing as
Oh
they make
God.
sweet, sweet love. It's just no. Anyway, enough
Gross.
of my ranting. Yeah,
No need for
absolutely.
that.
Small little bit of news. Minions and Monsters will be hitting cinemas on the 1st of July. Hooray! And will apparently feature a 15-minute segment entirely in Minionese. So
Yay!
brush up on your Minionese and
I
you'll be able
love
to
the
understand what they're
Minions.
saying. Me too. Me too.
Love the Minions.
Seen a
Brilliant.
lot of people roll their eyes these days, but no,
No.
still good. Still good.
Brilliant French humor, they're created by a French duo, and
Yes.
so like the Minionese, if you listen up, really, it's very like almost symbolic for French language, really.
Yes, yeah. It's like what French sounds like to an English person. Oh, they're saying something, but I don't know what it is. Yeah. So yep, I'll be looking forward to that. And I said we would return to the horror topic, and here we are. So we've discussed it before. We appear to be going through a horror boom, and this has been further demonstrated by films currently residing in the top 10. We named the three of them earlier. Curry Barker's Obsession has taken $148 million in its first 3 weeks on release, and Backrooms has already taken top spot in the top 10 and a whopping 118 million in its opening weekend. So that's the third biggest opening weekend for a horror movie in US history, and Obsession has managed a feat unseen since E.T. in that it's enjoyed an increase in ticket sales in its second and third weeks on release.
Brilliant,
Just
brilliant, brilliant.
incredible, absolutely
Definitely.
incredible. I
I
mean,
think I'm more excited by the fact that these were made by very young directors
mm,
who want to work in the film industry rather than on in TV. They want their movies to be seen. I mean, these guys are YouTubers, and they have every right to want their films to be seen at home.
yeah,
However, they are still making films to be seen in cinemas. Like I feel so encouraged by them, their passion for films to be seen out in big in a big setting on a big screen.
mm,
And if this is the future of the film industry, I'm here for it, and it's just fabulous. And people keep saying, "Oh, the cinemas are dying out." Blah. It's not. I think Gen Z is doing like really. It's really encouraging that Gen Z is so excited by cinema still, and seeing films as they are supposed to be seen and on a big screen. Just so brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff. And the fact that they are dealing with these kind of subjects and films that really on paper shouldn't really work, on paper shouldn't be such crowd pleasers, but they seem to be working. And I'm so excited by this.
yeah. I mean, I should preface this by saying, it makes me personally a little sad that the booming genre is the horror genre, and not other genres that I love myself. But I am delighted that cinema is thriving, and there is so much creativity in the film world. And maybe this is the future of cinema. Directors coming from YouTube and moving into the feature film business and bringing an audience of younger viewers with them.
I have a sneaking suspicion the reason why it is the horror genre that is doing well is because it's quite easy to make these movies. You don't need a lot
Yeah,
of CGI and tons of
100%.
crew and a ton of money. A24 might have spent a ton of money on these guys, but however, their films were made on a shoestring, and when you cannot make a big sci-fi movie on a shoestring,
Yeah.
and you can't get like big film stars on a shoestring either. So although Backrooms has a couple of really, actually three
Yes.
very big stars in it, so and I don't think they took a ton of money to make the movie either. So
Mm.
I get why it is the horror genre that's doing well. I think Markiplier, who is also a YouTuber, like someone that I've been watching for years, has also made a movie that's done really well, but financed by himself. He
Mm.
was lucky enough to dip into A24 money pit, but his film did really well, and despite it being financed by him, and just having that kind of like the power of the YouTube fandom to go and see your movies really works, and may it continue. I think the next big thing that we're going to have is a young filmmaker from YouTube or from wherever from the internet to make a really good sci-fi movie, a sci-fi movie that doesn't require so much CGI or the big sets. And if you think about Gareth Edward, Monsters, that was made on a shoestring years ago, and look where he is now. He's someone that people absolutely adore. His films are seen by millions of people, and
you're so right. Anyone who's gone through a film course or film school knows that horror films are the go-to, because, as you say, you can make them cheaply and easily. You can make them with one or two actors, and you write your script and you suddenly look at it and go, how am I going to make a spaceship appear? Well, it's a horror film then, so it is the easiest one, but they're being so creative with it, and teenagers love horror films. What can I say? And other people too, just not me. And we've already had Talk to Me, Iron Lung, Shelby Oaks, and Bring Her Back, and Bloodborne, and a Black Rooms sequel is already being planned. So
I'm not sure I want a Backroom sequel.
You're going to get one, Linda. So just
I know. Mostly because I think it's like a cash grab rather than needed in any way, shape, or form. I'd rather it not. I don't want to know any more about that. I think I'm really satisfied with it doesn't resolve anything, but at the same time, I'm quite satisfied by it not resolving anything.
You never know. It could be as good as Blair Witch 2. But that's the movie news for this week.
Meet me in the foyer.
So it's review time, and Linda now climbs astride her battle cat, and by the power of Grayskull brings us a review of Travis Knight's Masters of the Universe, with Nicholas Galitzine donning the furry underpants. And surely it can't be as bad as the 1987 original, can it? Can it?
Not a bad movie.
It's a terrible movie, Linda. Oh my God.
Oh, people love that movie. It's kind of campy and almost like very sort of kitsch, and people like that movie.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
Adam, when you hold the magic sword, what do you say?
By the power of Grayskull.
Go on.
I have the power!
Now you're ready.
It seems the prodigal prince has returned.
I am a devil, but I mean to be a god.
What am I supposed to do?
You are he who will restore peace to Eternia.
Skeletor took my family, and he destroyed our world.
I'm gonna fight for it. Mechaneck. And Ram Man.
Hell yeah!
And you, Fisto!
Mr. Allen!
It's Adam, dude.
Hey, put your neck away.
Let me show you what real power looks like.
Our time for talk is over.
Can you come help me with this? Whoa.
It is quite heavy, so if you could just...
Oh my God, yeah.
Anyway, look, were you ever a fan of the animation and obviously the sort of Mattel toy line and all that? Were you a fan when you were growing up?
I can't remember I've mentioned this on the show, but I probably have. My family my parents didn't allow us to watch ITV, so I never saw it.
Why?
It was a commercial channel, you see, and
Oh,
back in those days, one didn't watch the commercial channels. We just watched the good old BBC.
oh no, good for them, actually. Good for them, and you turned out fine. So,
That's up for debate.
So well done them. No, it's good. It's good. I think it's very fair not to let your kids watch a channel where there's loads of advertising. It's to do more advertising. It's not good, and that's the reason. I think we're in the state we're in at the moment because of advertising on everywhere and anywhere.
Well, of course, sorry to pause you just before you get into it, but He-Man was like the dawn of cartoons made to sell toys, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Transformers and He-Man were where it began, and then you got stuff like Thundercats, and it just rolled and rolled and rolled. So I think my parents were quite right. I was just going to be brainwashed. So yes, so it was a cartoon made to create to sell toys, and then they made a film of it, and then they've made another one.
I really liked He-Man. I was a fan. I was like, as I say, the live action movie is a cult classic, and some people might see it as a terrible movie. I don't see it as a terrible movie. I see it as like the embodiment of camp. It's really campy. It's very sort of silly, but iconic in its own way. But I was more of a fan of the animation, the weekly animation that was on television, and I watched it all dubbed in French because of where I grew up.
Oh, no way.
And it was, it was so exciting to watch, and it was like I think one of my favorite animations.
You've got to tell me if you know, how do you say the power of Grayskull in French?
I can't remember. I can't remember if they say that. I can't remember if they actually say that, but I will tell you later after after I finish my my review. Okay. I will look it up. So yeah. As I say, this is an adaptation of Mattel toy, and also it's a reboot. The first reboot since 1987 live action film became a cult movie in its own right. This is directed by Travis Knight, and it is actually, he proves as an inspired kind of choice as director, because his work in Cuban, Two Strings, and Bumblebee, which is the Transformers. Bumblebee, I have to say, is the best Transformers movie in my opinion. So well done, really funny and really fun and really quite cute. So that demonstrated his ability to handle, let's say, beloved IP, and with a great deal of attention to detail. He's someone who knows how to do fan service, let's put it this way. Yeah. As much as I find fan service a bit sort of jarring sometimes, I think in some cases it is very much required. And in this case, there is a ton of it, and none of it feels wrong, in my opinion. The screenplay is written by Chris Butler, the Nee brothers, and David Callahan. I think that's how you say his name. And it is really a film for fans of the franchise, fans of the Mattel toy line, fans of the original. If you are a fan of all those three things, you're going to be really satisfied. And I know that it's not for everyone. I know that it's a bit of, oh, come on, let's throw everything at this. But I genuinely think if you have that kind of like nostalgic feeling towards these, the animation and the original movie, you're going to leave here really satisfied. And it's probably not aimed at me because it's mostly a boys thing, and that's not sexist of me. I'm a girl, so I can say this. I've always liked more things to do with that kind of, superhero stuff rather than the other stuff. But I would say, like, I was a big fan of the Heidi. Did you get Heidi here?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I was more of a fan of, but I did like this kind of stuff. Anyway, so the story follows Adam Glenn, who He-Man, played by Nicholas Galitzine, who I have to say is perfect, like absolutely perfect for this role. Whoever had the idea of casting him has done a brilliant job. He's been far removed from the world he called home. Been living on Earth 15 years after his home world, whatever you want to call it, home planet, has been taken by Skeletor. So when the legendary Sword of Power leads him back to Eternia, his home country, Adam discovers that his home planet has fallen under the iron grip of Skeletor, who is voiced by Jared Leto. Say no more. Let's ignore that. I mean, he's actually good. He's actually good. He does the same kind of voice as in the animation, which is a good sort of callback. But like it's Jared Leto. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do know what you mean.
Yeah. Just no. So to reclaim his birthright, he must join forces with Captain Tilo, played by Camila Mendes, and her father, played who is the man at arm, played by Idris Elba. Brilliant. Idris Elba is so good, and congratulations, Sir Idris Elba, who just been knighted. He's really good, and I love when Idris does comedy, because I feel like he's someone who people see as being a very serious actor, but when he does comedy, he just gets it right. And I think I see his future as someone who will fall in that kind of like, let's wheel out Idris Elba for a bit of comedy every so often. There's also a really fabulous performance by Alison Brie, who we all love from Community. And that comedy, she has that kind of like a particular way of saying things and doing things that just makes me love her. She's just she plays what's her name? Evil Lynn, yeah, and she's like the right hand woman of Skeletor, but like she plays her in a kind of really pathetic way. She's like tries to be evil, but like deep down you feel like there's other things going on with her. It's a film that understands its audience inside out, and it really knows it. It really shows, rather than running from like colorful, larger than life, like campy, kitschy stuff. It really embraces it wholeheartedly. There's a fair bit of fan service, as I said earlier. But it's done with affection rather than desperation. And when someone does fan service with desperation, like we've seen in the past, I can't think of anything. Nothing comes to mind right now, but like you can tell, and it feels so sickly when it's done out of desperation. This is done out of love and knowing what people are expecting from the movie. And giving it to them, it's not a bad thing. There's a cameo by Dolph Lundgren, who was He-Man. I mean, I don't know if I should have said that, but anyway, I think the news is out there anyway that he's in it. I found that cameo a little bit cheesy. I think it worked, but then it was a bit too much, laden a bit too heavily. And then there are a couple of other cameos here and there, so I'll just leave that there. And Galitzine is absolutely excellent in this, in the lead role. He's lovable, slightly clueless. He plays the kind of himbo, like like nothing going on here for a while, but you can tell that he's pure of heart. He does it brilliantly, and the performance never really mocks the character. He really fully embraces the silliness. And when he finally transforms into He-Man, he becomes He-Man, and you look at him and you think he really understood what this character is about. It's so well done. It's so brilliant. Camila Mendes is really terrific as Tila. She brings confidence, warm, and there's loads of like sexual tension between her and Galitzine. Idris Elba, as I say, brilliant, very funny. Like Alison, Brie, I've said already, and the less said about Jared Leto, the better. There are, you know, parallels that you could draw between this and the Taika Waititi Thor Ragnarok. Maybe a little bit too much humor, and sometimes you just want it to like sort of cool down with the gags, but it never gets so bad that you're like, oh God, I wish this was over. It's never bad. I saw that someone who I like and respect dearly, a fellow film critic, had given it a 1 star. And I could not disagree more. I just think this is really very well judged and done brilliantly and done exactly. I think if you're someone expecting something more serious out of this, you are sorely mistaken. You should not be expecting anything serious out of this. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. And you know, it is what it is, and the fans will embrace it and they will go and see it. And I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to do well. I doubt Backrooms will still be #1 next week, but that could be eating my my words. So it's colorful, energetic, entirely comfortable with his own identity, and it's like a rare franchise revival that feels that remembers why people fell in love with it, you know. And I full respect to the writers and the director. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they've given it to us. Yeah, really happy with it. Loved it.
Excellent. Yeah, it's funny. I had wrote in my notes, much like Zack Snyder, why do people keep giving Jared Leto work? But they do, and he's in it. You said he's just the voice?
Well, yeah, because it's the Skeletor is CG. I have a feeling. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the whole of Skeletor character is all CG. Because I mean, it's you know, it's not a skeleton as a face, you know.
Yeah, well, of course, it was you know, he was an actor. He was the best part of the original film for me. Frank Langzeglia was Skeletor, and as I say, he was the best bit. But you know, interesting. It's a rather staggering 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it felt actually shorter, and I have a feeling it's not actually 2 hours and 20 minutes because we did. I went, so I saw it with my other half, and I was like, oh God, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Oh my God, this is going to be boring. It doesn't feel that long at all because it's really fun.
Yeah.
And like most of the stuff is in the credit anyway. Like, so you could leave as soon as it finishes, and it's only 2 hours and 10 minutes or so. So
yeah. Okay. Brilliant. And it struck me as well that Idris seems to be playing. It's funny you mentioned Thor because his character in this seems very similar to his character in Thor, where it was Hemdall he played. You know, that was slightly less comical, but yeah, no, interesting. I mean, to go back to the original, I happened to watch it about 2 weeks ago because the story of the original He-Man for me is, as I said, I didn't watch the cartoon, I didn't have the toys, and then as kids, if you weren't doing the old trampoline swimming and roller skating party, you would do a party at someone's house and you'd watch the latest film on VHS. On a VHS in our own house. And I remember I did a party and it was Superman 2, and that was great. And then someone else did it and it was He-Man, and every one of us to a boy was bored out of their minds because
oh God,
it's such an incredibly slow film. It's like a European film, you know. It's like it's like Conan for kids, you know. It's so odd.
Yeah. You said you saw it very recently again.
Yes.
Did you feel the same way?
Disappointingly, I did. I was really hoping I'd feel differently, but it's so slow paced. It's all one shot. There's no cutaways or inserts. It's like they've got one camera and and every scene is filmed in one shot. they walk in, they do all their dialogue really slowly because Dolph Lundgren's a terrible actor at that time, and they all had to sort of slow down to his pace.
Nothing has changed. I'm pleased to report.
and then they would do the whole scene and then just walk out the other side of the shop. It was no, I can't. I'm not a classic for me. But again, all opinions are valid. All opinions are valid. Brilliant. So that's that's one of the big blockbusters of the nearly summer. But I have a feeling it might be blown out of the water by something coming next week. But we'll get to that in time. So thank you very much, Linda.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, so now it's time for another of Jawa's classic movie moments. And this week, we're looking at a film celebrating its 55th anniversary. Having reviewed a thriller last week in Marathon Man, in which I mentioned Alan J Pakula, it only feels appropriate that this week I bring you one of his films in the form of his 1971 classic, Klute.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Indeed.
We recovered in his desk at the plant a typewritten letter that was evidently written on the Friday before he disappeared. It was written to a girl in New York City.
Tell me what you want. Hmm? Oh, what? Wow, that sounds fantastic. Oh, that's so exciting. But it's going to cost you more. That's fantastic. That's going to be 100. Sure, fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Very good.
What's the difference between going out on a call as a model or as an actress or as a call girl? You're successful as a call girl. You're not
Because
successful.
when you're a call girl, you control it. That's why. But they want a woman, and I know I'm good, and I arrive at their hotel or their apartment. You just lead them by the ring in their nose in the direction that they think they want to go in, and you get a lot of money out of them in as short a period of time as possible, and you control it, and you call the shots, and I always feel just great afterwards.
Tom Gruneman's been missing for half a year, and all the FBI has to offer is a report. John Klute offered us his services, and we've accepted. You ever done any missing persons work before?
No. Have you spent any time in the city?
No.
Well, speaking frankly.
You're wondering why we thought of Klute, frankly. He's interested, and he cares.
Well, there's this man that I met, this detective. He took care of me.
Miss Daniels, can I come upstairs and ask you some questions now?
You feel angry at him?
Scary, I guess.
How do you feel when you feel scary?
Angry.
What else do you remember about the man who beat you up?
Nothing. Except that he wasn't kidding, that's all. See, usually it's a fake out. You probably know about that. They pretend to tie you up and you wear a dress with a cloth belt and they pretend to whip you. What the hell, it's their money, I don't care. I'll swing from a shower rod and whistle Maytime. Except, this guy really freaked out on it.
But you cannot identify this man as Tom Gruneman.
I can't identify him as anybody. I was trying to get away from a world that I had known because I don't think it was very good for me. And I found myself looking up its ass and seeing people that I used to know and that I liked a lot. That were my friends, sort of, girls. And, it could have been me. I mean, I know what I know. I'm not stupid. Sometimes I get spooked. I think I see people, hear things. Or like I go out in the morning and I think somebody's been prying open my mailbox. Or if there's trash in front of my door, I think somebody's trying to freak me out. What are you doing with my keys?
Give me your hand. Don't be afraid. I'm going to sit you down on the bed. There's someone on the roof. Oh!
Klute is a 1971 American neo-noir psychological thriller directed and produced by Alan J Pakula. Its plot follows a high-priced New York City call girl who assists a detective from Pennsylvania in solving the missing person case of a John who may be stalking her. It is the first installment of what was formerly known as the Paranoia trilogy from Pakula, followed by The Parallax View and All the President's Men, which I've already reviewed earlier this year. All the films dealing with themes of paranoia, conspiracies, and surveillance. The original screenplay for Klute was written by brothers Andy and Dave Lewis, with Andy drawing inspiration from a serial he had read as a child about a man attempting to solve his brother's murder in the city. Klute received 2 nominations at the 44th Academy Awards, including Best Original Screenplay, with Fonda winning Best Actress, and at the 25th BAFTAs, she received a nomination for Best Actress. So, yes, after Pennsylvania Chemical Company executive Tom Gruneman disappears, the police find an obscene letter in his office addressed to a New York City call girl named Brie Daniels, who had received several such letters. After 6 months of fruitless police work, Peter Cable, a fellow executive of Gruneman's company, hires family friend and detective John Klute to investigate the disappearance. So, as I say, Jane Fonda plays Brie Daniels, the call girl, in the middle of the case. Donald Sutherland plays John Klute, the detective, or amateur detective. Charles Coify plays Peter Cable. Roy Scheider plays Frank Legorin, I think it is. And as he so often does in the 70s, Sylvester Stallone makes an uncredited appearance as a club patron. One of his blink or you'll miss it appearances. So yeah, as I said at the top, it deals with paranoia, surveillance, endless shots of tape reel-to-reel machines playing out the sort of what would you call them, sex phone calls that Fonda was making to clients. Plus, you have the audio of her therapy sessions that she receives, and they make nice little sort of inter-scene moments as you cut back to her speaking to her psychologist, trying to sort of get to the root of her problems, really, because she doesn't want to be a call girl, but she also likes being a call girl because she says she's good at it, and she feels a sense of control when she's a call girl, and when she's getting into normal, in inverted commas, relationships with men, she feels afraid because she doesn't have that same level of control she has as a prostitute. So to say, it uses a lot of shots of tapes and the sound, very much like Blowout. The sound is absolutely crucial in this film, and the constant sort of surveillance and paranoia evokes the era, which is of course the Watergate era, which puts it in a similar bracket as the already mentioned All the President's Men and Parallax View. Many, as I said, have viewed it as a part of a trilogy with Parallax View and All the President's Men. I really love All the President's Men, but my favorite of the 3 is Parallax View, which does make Klute my least favorite of the 3, but that's not to do it down. It's still a brilliant film. So it doesn't have the political edge of Parallax or President's Men, but it still has the sort of really creepy ambience. It's probably the creepiest of the 3. Presidents certainly has moments where people think they're being followed or monitored, and Parallax absolutely certainly has that. But this one has, through its use of camera angles, through the score, through the incredible lighting that the cinematographer uses, it's so dark. It's one of the darkest films. Not, I mean, it is dark emotionally, but it's so dark in its lighting. Sometimes you wonder what's going on and if you're actually supposed to be able to see anything at all. Yeah, wonderfully filmed. It almost becomes a horror in certain scenes, especially when Sutherland is at Fonda's house and they hear someone on the roof, and he goes to investigate, and he ends up going down into he does the classic thing of he's going through the basements of this New York apartment block, and he flicks his torch round to a staircase, and it's just this dark well, and you think, don't go down there, Donald, but he does. It's so creepy, and the tension is absolutely maxing as the score, it's got this really odd piano motif and this sort of ghostly woman's voice sort of reverberating around it. Yeah, really sinister parts of the film. Written by Andy Lewis, who had primarily worked in television and then wanted to move into feature film. So he wrote the screenplay with his brother. In fact, they lived on opposite sides of America, so they would communicate back and forth by letters and telephone calls, and eventually pulled the script together. So they cast Fonda on the back of her previous film, They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And she was announced in 1970, exactly at the time, really, where she was becoming under a lot of scrutiny for her part in the Vietnam War, a hugely controversial time in her life, and made her very unpopular with a certain section of society who didn't quite. I mean, she made some mistakes, but I think there was a lot of people.
I don't think she made mistakes. I mean, she was anti the Vietnam War, and
Well, she was.
the majority of people of her age at that time were on her side. So
Yeah, but I think even she admitted she made a mistake in that she allowed herself to be photographed with the Viet Cong,
yeah.
and her motivations were absolutely pure, but that's a bit of a blunder. Sort of you're so against the Americans being in the war that you sort of do photo shoot with the opposition. That's a slight misstep, one could argue.
Look, you got to understand this was a really very strange time coming from the end of the war, the Algerian war against France, where the Algerians won the war by basically leading this kind of like really underground fight against the French colonialism, not to go into to give you a history lesson. And that was seen as being a justifiable way to do things. And everyone was very interested because that's where, like, one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. And that's where she found herself in that situation. I think she might regret being photographed with the Viet Cong, but at the same time, all the Viet Cong were doing was fighting for their homeland, home country, and against people who want to take it over, i.e., the Americans. So
yeah, absolutely, no, absolutely agree. But of course, she suffered for decades from that.
Oh, yeah. And Jane, she was
that's right. That's right.
Jane.
So in preparation for this role, she spent weeks in New York observing high class call girls and madams, and then accompanying some of them on their after hours escapades. She said that she noticed that none of the men paid her any attention at all, and she put that down to the fact that they could pick up immediately that she wasn't of that sort of that ilk, that class. She was an upper class privileged pretender, she said. She actually doubted whether she could pull off the role and asked Pakula to release her from her contract and hire Faye Dunaway instead, but Pakula refused. And she said one of her primary concerns was that as an emerging feminist, she shouldn't play a prostitute. But when she said this to a long-standing feminist friend, she was told, if the script's good and it's an opportunity to be a three-dimensional character, of course you should do it. So she did. I have to say, she received a lot of praise for this role, and she is good in it. I think the role possibly tests her too much. I think there are moments in this film where it exceeds her abilities, because there are breakdown moments. There's moments where she's trying to get clean from heroin. I don't think it's entirely successful, but she is very good in it. Certainly, the scenes where between her and Sutherland are great, and therapy scenes as well. She's brilliant. Just little moments, but then of course she's acting against Donald Sutherland, and he's just incredible, and he does everything with such sort of easy nonchalance that I think it's easy to look like you're overacting against someone that's that sort of laid back. And of course, it's a rare villain role for Roy Scheider. It's one of his very early roles, and it made him a big star, and of course would lead on to last week's film Marathon Man and Jaws in between. But yeah, very rare to see him as a villain, and he's still got that magic. He's absolutely sort of mesmerizing and terrifying. Gordon Willis was the cinematographer I mentioned earlier, who was a frequent collaborator with Pakula, who managed to get all all this darkness and shadows into the film somehow and still allow you to see stuff. And it's an unusual film, and it sort of destabilizes you because it uses a lot of close-ups but very few establishing shots. So you're kind of always put on the wrong foot. You don't know quite what's going on. And again, it's another one of these films I seem to be talking about a lot, where they don't explain the plot to you. Characters have conversations, they don't exposit the plot, so you're always having to pay attention to figure out what on earth is going on. It's sinister, it's creepy, the plot is labyrinthine, and the acting is great. A wonderful film. The soundtrack was by Michael Small, who would carry on working with Pakula for many years, and it was hugely praised when it came out. It's got a 92% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is actually higher than Marathon Man, which I have slight questions about, but again, all opinions valid. Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 stars out of 4, writing that the thriller elements were poorly executed, but the performances of Sutherland and especially Fonda carry the film. He suggested that the film should have in fact been titled Brie, after her character, who is the soul of the film, and avoids the hooker with a heart of gold stereotype, which she very much does. She's really sassy and sure of herself and brutal to Sutherland, who's this sort of repressed country boy gone to the city to try and solve this missing persons case. Another critic said she's got a sort of nervous intensity that keeps her locked into the film character, and she almost seems like she's distracted and can't sort of focus, and it works really, really well for the role. It's fabulous. As I say, it's got a lot of jump cuts and hard cuts. It's dark in tone and in visual. I say it leans heavily on the audio throughout it. It's a film that it feels like a film we don't get anymore, in that it doesn't spoon feed the audience. You have to follow the plot, which is in the dialogue. It feels
classic show don't tell.
Yes, 100%, 100%. It feels like these days, it's an old cliche now, but people talked about superhero films pushing out more sort of adult filmmaking, and it feels like that this sort of film wouldn't get made at all now, especially as it's quite a sort of an art film. And these days, filmmakers, rightly or wrongly, film producers, studios, feel that the audience needs to be spoon-fed an entire film to understand it. So as I say, it's not my favorite of the Pakulas, but it's still a great film. If you're interested, my favorite is The Parallax View, which I just think is stunning. And unusually, because I mentioned last week that these films so often have down endings, this one's got a possibly happy ending. It's unclear. It's left open-ended. Maybe it's a happy ending. Maybe it's not. It doesn't spoon feed you the conclusion either. So yeah, it's a sinister, creepy, paranoid thriller with a possible happy ending. And I recommend it if you haven't seen it, but you do have to pay attention all the way through. So that's Klute, the 1971 neo-noir psychological thriller from Alan J Pakula.
I might actually go and watch it again. I haven't seen it in years. And I love those kind of like really thick plots, where you can get lost into. Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched it twice this week because I didn't feel like I quite got a grip on the plot the first time, even though I've seen it before. I really, really.
But I love that. I love that because it makes you work harder, makes the brain cells work.
Absolutely.
Some films you just want to sit down and just switch your brain off, but others you really want to get in there.
And it's got that real grit of a 70s film as well. Really sort of down and dirty and a filthy city. Wonderful.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, we have another review from you for you.
A very short one.
Yes, we have a teeny tiny little review for you from Linda, and I've a hungry yearning burning inside me to hear another review. So let's spend our time, do what we do, and listen to Linda night and day as she brings us her thoughts on Tina Gharavi's new film Virginia Woolf's Night and Day, which has a stellar cast and Jack Whitehall.
Do
not move!
I think I discovered a theory of variable stars.
We could both be amateurs. Me, a poet, and you, an astrologer.
Astronomer?
Yes, astronomer, sorry.
I want to apply to Cambridge.
Absolutely out of the question. You'll marry and you'll be a wife. What are you doing up here?
I'm not trusting strangers on rooftops.
A woman who knows what she wants.
Nobody wants a woman outside.
Stop wasting our time.
Just give me a chance.
Everyone's truth is the house they live in.
One day, all of this will vanish. This brick and mortar and dogma. Women are coming to Cambridge.
Darling, should we make each other happy for the rest of our lives?
No!
If it relates to the consummation, time and low-level lighting, those are our allies.
He's actually quite good in it. Yeah, as I said, this actually had its premiere at South by Southwest London earlier this week.
Oh.
The festival is going on at the Barbican at the moment. Love the Barbican, love everything about it. And I don't think it's the right venue for this festival, personally. I will have to say. I feel a festival like this is mostly because it is a multi art festival, so it's not just film. I feel like this should have been really in town, like House Central or somewhere like that, because more people have been able to go to it. But again, it was there last year and it's there again this year. Really, it's got some really good films in the program. So again, this was the opening night movie, and it stars Haley Bennett, Timothy Spall, Jennifer Saunders, Derek Whitehall, Sally Phillips, Lily Allen, who is brilliant, and Elias Mbarek, who is a German-Turkish actor, I think. So yeah, it is an adaptation of the, I suppose, a lesser-known Virginia Woolf book by the general public, but people who love Virginia Woolf would have read this already, and really well known by literary sort of connoisseurs. And it's directed by Tina Gharavi, as I said, a screenplay written by Justine Waddell, and it feels like a very much of a Justine Waddell written. You know, it's her movie above anything else. So it's set in Britain in the early 20th century, sort of the Edwardian Britain. A female astronomer played by Haley Bennett, so his name is Catherine Hilbery, and she tries to avoid patriarchal attitude of the day. She really is desperate to go to Oxford and study in Oxford University, and rare thing, because at that time universities would, even if you could get into them, they will not award you your degree at the end of it, despite anything else. You could go and study at Oxford if you wanted to. It's not always evident that you might get a degree out of it. So she is a young, brilliant young woman, very headstrong, very sort of, she's resisting her parents' plans to marry her off to the sort of to William, played by Jack Whitehall, who is basically a how shall I say this, kind of like a bit desperate, you know, a desperado. He's like, if you'd written a character saying not the right guy, it would be him. Not the right guy for her, it would be him. So she makes the acquaintance of Mary Datchet, played by Lily Allen, who's brilliant. Not in it for long enough, in my opinion. She's really, really good, and I am a huge fan of Lily Allen's music. I also think she is a fabulous actress, and she's someone who knows what she's doing. You know, she's brilliant here. I was able to interview Haley Bennett for this, and I would have really liked to interview Lily Allen as well. But yeah, so she's, because her parents are like, see her wanting to go to university, wanting to study, wanting to discover things as being the wrong thing for their stature, because they are they are sort of gentry. Her parents are played by Timothy Spall and by Jennifer Saunders, fabulous Jennifer Saunders. They see it as not, quite right for the family's standing in society. So reluctantly, she agrees to marry William just so she could have a little bit more freedom. She could leave her parents' house and go off and do the things that she wants to do. However, she crosses paths with this working class editor called Ralph Denham, or do we say Rafe now? I don't know. And he's played by Elias Mbarek, he's assisting her mother, Mrs. Hilbury, again Jennifer Saunders, with a family biography, and the two kind of find her romantic loyalties shift, although she never really had romantic loyalties toward William, really, to be honest. She was marrying him just so she could be freer. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there. I mean, this is sweet, really well acted, actually, and quite romantic, and quite a good ending. And it is a feminist film masquerading as a rom-com, and I really like that. It kind of sneakily puts in its agenda, and I'm always up for that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's lovely. It's sweet, and it's really well done. Yeah,
wonderful.
Go see it when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, that is. It certainly seems worth seeing for the cast alone.
Definitely.
Tim Spall's worth seeing anytime, and I hadn't realised. I just had a quick Google there. The Lily Allen. I mean, it must be a very small role, but she was actually in Elizabeth, the film.
She was really young. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't. I've seen that. I love that film, but I hadn't recognised her in it.
Well, because her mum is a film producer, so I guess she has had the chance of being in loads of things. But in this instance, I know people go on about Nepo babies and stuff. Lily Allen is an extremely talented young woman. She is very, 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 very talented. She's brilliant at writing. She's a really good singer. She's someone who's got an outlook on art that is really impressive. And she isn't where she is now without talent. And when people talk about being a Nepo baby, I think it's ridiculous, because you can be a Nepo baby if you want to be, but if you are a talentless Nepo baby, you can tell straight away you're not going to get very far, But because she genuinely is an extremely talented person, a very interesting person, and just by hearing her speak, you can tell that she has something to say. And whenever she does something out of the ordinary, like not just singing and performing her music, I'm always interested in seeing it. She's been in loads of plays. She played Hedda Gabel not that long ago, and she's won an Olivier. I'm consider me extremely impressed by Lily Allen, honestly. And I would have preferred if Lily Allen had taken this role of Catherine Hepburn over Haley Bennett. Haley Bennett is American. Her English accent is really good in this. However, I would have been so much more impressed if it was Lily Allen as Catherine.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. It doesn't matter if you're a Nepo baby. If you haven't got the talent, you'll get found out. And I think
quickly,
worse than Nepo babies are actually it's industry jobs that go to people of wealth. So they're not Nepo babies, but they have the advantage of having a rich family support them, whereas there are people of talent who don't have that financial backing, who never get that opportunity. So Nepo babies isn't the problem at all, as far as I'm concerned.
True.
But yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, it's a lovely movie. Go see it when it comes out. I don't know when. Can't remember. Sorry.
I'll definitely be seeing that. As I say, love Tim Spall. Just watched him in the second series of Death Valley, and that was wonderful as well. So yeah, brilliant. Right. Well, I mean, sadly, that's the end of our epic time together this week. I complained about the length of He-Man, but maybe you're out there complaining about the length of this episode. But hey, we just like to give and give. That's what we do here.
Sorry, I went on for a bit too long, I'm afraid.
No, absolutely not.
Feel free to cut some of it off.
Absolutely not. No. The full episode will go up on our Patreon, of course, and you can find us on YouTube, as I'm sure you know, if you're watching us, and you can find us on Acast and Spotify and iTunes, and of course the edited highlights will appear on Rock and Gold Radio on Saturday mornings, which I'm sure you know because you're listening to my voice now. So yes. Check us out in all of those places. Subscribe to Patreon because it's well worth it. The library is increasing day on day. And until next time, it just leaves me to thank Linda for her excellent reviews and wonderful company. And why don't you join us again next time, where we'll bring you more exciting movie news, reviews, and classic films.
And a review of the latest Steven Spielberg movie.
Oh, you've disclosed that a bit early, haven't you, Linda? Yes, indeed. Yes, it's disclosure day next week, and can't wait.
I should be at the premiere tonight, but I'm not at the premiere because I'm sick and because I'm recording this. Yeah.
I feel your pain. You must be absolutely devastated.
It's fine. I'm not devastated. I'm fine.
But you'll have seen it, of course, by next week.
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Well, we look forward to that, and we look forward to you joining us again. So do that, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody.
Adios.
Subscribe now to help fan-supporting food banks. Go to patreon.com/Rock and Gold Radio and look for your favourite club subscription pages and sign up with your favourite presenter. Rock and Gold Radio. No adverts, no VAR, no limits.
Meet me in the foyer.
And a classic option for your delectation, and bringing you insights into... I'll do that again, actually. I shouldn't write big words.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Go for it.
Right.